All right, everybody. I am kicking off the 10X Tuesday interview, and I couldn't be more fired up to have Hunter Marckwardt. How you doing, brother?
Dave, I am doing great, brother. Pleasure to be here, always.
Awesome. Well, had a few little technical difficulties here at the last minute, so I will get this pushed onto Facebook in a minute. So everyone who is listening to the recording, this will be in the Mortgage Coach YouTube channel. Make sure you follow the channel if you don't already follow it. So Hunter, thanks for committing to join me on this Tuesday. I wanted to do this interview for a couple reasons. One, just always great talking to you. I love your Sunday thoughts, but I've really been focusing on interviewing producing managers. And last year you've always led a team, but you really put a lot more focus on having a production partner helping you run that team. And I also know that you're balancing your Hunter team and the production you're doing in the market with providing leadership to, what is it, like 200 loan officers in your division?
Yep, exactly. 195.
Yeah. So why don't you, one, tell us how you're doing. We would love to hear about your production. Tell us how you're doing, and then we'll get into, how you're winning in this market.
How am I doing? I'm stressed out. But overall, I'm doing well. There's just, I think for all of us right now, we've got our, everyone looks at July 1st, obviously, it's halftime. So for me, as you and I've talked about, it is balancing the personal production. It is balancing helping other LOs inside of our division, execute in a challenging environment. So, putting all of that together and figuring out where your time is best spent and what you're doing. If I'm looking at my calendar and where I'm falling short and allocating too much time on things that aren't probably important, that's a struggle of mine right now. But I would say overall, I'm doing well, man. I'm in a good place. You're on mute, brother.
What is the production of your team right now? What kind of production are you guys doing?
We are at right. I think today we're at $60 million in production. So
on pace for 120.
Yeah, we're doing well. Like the first quarter sucked, and then in April we had a $21 million month. Last month was $8.5 million, and this month should be $13.5 million. So I think we're trending in the right direction. When you asked me, what do I anticipate? That's why I said 130 million as opposed to 120 million. We're trending in the right direction, which is great.
I can tell you, most mortgage professionals would love that kind of production. So you're killing it, and I would imagine that you're gaining market share. So let's get into like what's working. Like, what are the things you're doing that are working best for the Hunter team? And I'm going to kind of go back and forth between interviewing you for your team and then hearing how you're leading and managing your region.
Yeah. So Dave, what's working right now, I think, is it's nothing. I get on these calls with you and it's like, I listen to Denise, I listen to Jeremy, and I'm always blown away by their thought process, their forward thought process. And literally, as I'm listening to their stuff, just going, people that aren't listening to your content on a consistent basis, which sometimes is me, is just stupid, because the amount of ideas and thoughts that come from it are unbelievable. But I just go back to, I'm in a jumbo environment, right? I can't help that. It is what it is. So we're just executing. Like, our business partners, and I know that I say this all the time, but we have two themes as a team, which is our business partners have to believe they're going to be more successful with us as their lender, and our clients have to believe they have a greater chance of home ownership with us as their lender, or they shouldn't use us. And I tell our business partners that, and our clients that every single day, every single time I talk to every lead that comes in, I tell them that every single time. So when you say, what are we doing to win? We are doing everything we've always been doing, which is just the basic stuff of speed to the lead, right? Proactive communication. Your mortgage coach, it's like, I told you, and it's on repeat, but we kind of used your stuff for, if you and I have known each other for, I don't know what, 10 years, I think we kind of used your stuff for about 7 of those years. And in the last 3 years, it is ingrained in every single thing we do. And it's part of our presentation and our process. So I think when you don't deviate from what works and you're consistent with creating, buyers, I tell this all the time, which is what people hate about lenders is everything seems super easy up front. And then you go into contract and all hell breaks loose, right? Numbers aren't what they thought they were. Documentation isn't what you thought it was going to be. So for us to go through our process, which is always me having, I heard Denise say when I was listening to her thing, one of my favorite things that she said is like, you don't do loan apps. You don't just forward someone a loan app. You don't email or text someone a loan app. You have to engage in an upfront conversation to understand what someone is trying to accomplish, as opposed to just putting them into your motion. So if I look at what's winning, it's me having that upfront consultation every single time. Like, I mean, I talked to someone yesterday, right? I talked to a couple yesterday. They have $190,000 in student loan debt. They both graduated from UT. They have a 9-month-old son named Jack. I have a son named Jack, right? They're moving back to Alameda to be close to their family so that they can have babysitters because they both want to go back to work full time. We had a really interesting conversation. I said to them flat out, I'm like, because I just dropped off my younger son, Thomas, at college yesterday. And I said, hey, was the master's worth it for you? Was it worth having $180,000 worth of debt to do that? Like, so you're just engaged in these conversations with people that creates some relationship, right? So that goes then into, yes, they're going to do a loan application now. They're uploading all their documentation. They're getting everything done. And we will then turn that into a mortgage coach to walk them through their options and their ability to qualify and whether or not it makes more sense to pay off some of that student loan debt. We talked yesterday, maybe they're going to take $70,000 and apply it to the student loan debt to help qualify for a higher mortgage payment, like things like that. You can't have that conversation or relationship without having an upfront conversation. So those are the types of things we're doing to win. Every single time we're producing every single offer. Like, I don't understand why people don't do a mortgage coach every single time someone's writing an offer, right? What's the purchase price? What's the address of the property? Looking at the property ahead of time, talking to them about the property that they're writing on, like it makes you more engaged, makes you more relevant to them, it makes it more personalized. And then, obviously, it's the things of, I'm just going through my own playbook mentally, calling the listing agent ahead of the offer going in. I mean, just all of those things, why the client's the right client, how committed they are to us. And then, once you go into contract, by the way, everyone worries about getting shopped. When you do these, the way we do them, the lock conversations are 5 to 10 minutes because they knew the day before what the rate was likely going to be. And then we execute. I mean, the whole thing is there's all this upfront stuff with what we're talking about now and what all of your interviews are. But I also think you just have to execute. In our market, it's no loan contingencies, no appraisal contingencies, 15-day closes, 17-day closes, 21-day closes, figuring out solutions for people that want to buy before they sell. There's different types of bridge loans that we have. There's double equity, which is cross-collateralized bridge loans. There's departing residence bridge loans. There's potentially not needing a bridge loan at all, right? And so it's walking through and having solutions for most of the buyers that creates the confidence in the agents that they have a better chance of being successful with us as their lender. And to me, we haven't taken our eye off of that ball. And I think a lot of people have.
There's two things that really struck out at what you just said that was common with the interview I did with Denise and the interview I did with Jeremy. And for anyone watching this, I'm going to put both of those interviews and links to those down below, because I truly believe those two interviews were truly master classes. And I know this one is going to deliver on the same thing, but you are taking time to connect and understand the people, what their goals are, and then what their needs are. And needs could be another word of saying problems, challenges to overcome. Yeah. And then all three of you are not just creatively solving those problems, because I think there's a lot of loan officers that know how to come up with creative solutions, but you're creatively solving them, but the way you're making them simple to the consumer is uncommon in the marketplace. So I would push every loan officer listening to this and every leader of loan officers listening to this to really do a real study on your loan officers at like, hey, who understands the consumer's needs beyond the transactions? And then who is really delivering those solutions to needs with clarity and confidence. And all three of you guys are doing that at a extremely high level, extremely high level. Uh, it, so by the way, do you agree with that? Because I know you've watched both of those
Yeah,
interviews,
I
you know
think
your practice.
it's clarity and confidence, right? I mean, that is what, when someone understands. I was, again, I don't mean to just jump into these mortgage coaches, but it's like I was driving to Thomas, I was driving him down to San Diego on Saturday. We're at In-N-Out Burger, and client calls me. They're freaking out because all of a sudden there's $30,000 of closing costs, and I'm on the phone with them, and I'm like, I have no idea what he's talking about, right? But he was looking at mortgage. He was looking at his mortgage coach. I'm like, oh, that $30,000 is the exact. It was like 31,200. He literally thought that they were points. They weren't points. It was the debt that he had to pay off to go up to a $2.5 million loan amount, which we had talked about previously on the call. By having all, like, that's clarity, right? Like by having all of that documentation in front of you presented so that there are no surprises. To me, it's such a small thing. It seems like such a small thing, but that's where the feedback that we get on all of our presentations, and Erica, my business partner, she does most of the pre-approval calls, but the response that we always get, like you can read it in the language on people responding to you, right? On the emails, on reviews, whatever. It's the clarity. The common theme for everything is the clarity in us delivering exactly what we said that we were going to do. So yes, I agree with you 100%. And I think that go ahead.
Yeah, let's transition a little bit to the Nar settlement. Your thoughts on how big of a deal is it, and what are you doing, if anything, to get ahead of it yourself?
So
And then I'm
I'm
going
on
to
the
move into
front.
team stuff.
I would say I'm more in the middle ground. Like, as far as where we are, like I gave you a video that one of our LOs in our branch did, very similar to Jeremy's, and she might have gotten it from Jeremy. We're beginning to talk about it, Dave, but right now, like in the deals that we are working on right now, it's not a topic. I do think it's going to, yes, it will be a topic. And I think helping realtors understand what their options are, as well as giving realtors, like literally you and I I got to drop at 9:55 because I've got another gentleman, which is also kind of cool. It's kind of in the theme of the mortgage coach community. I've got one of my top competitors in the Bay Area. His name's FM Fairmars. I don't know if you know him. He's doing
He's awesome.
So FM's doing he's been going out doing presentations with realtors, not necessarily on breaking down their numbers, but how they've never had to negotiate, right? It's no offense to them, but like they've never, we've all talked about it. They just get their commission based on whatever the listing agent negotiated it with in the contract in the first place. So helping them go out and define what their value is, what their unique, it is funny, like unique selling proposition. It's such an overused word, but it also, when you think about it, the details of your unique selling proposition is in fact what everybody has to understand. So I think there's the aspect certainly of having to negotiate your commissions, but there's also people having to go back and identify truly what their value is. And if you're going through that effort, like that's where we're going with this, is helping our realtors identify what that is, and also giving them, I think the more we're talking to our realtors on our own ability to convert the clients that we've created for them or converted for them, that's the same thing we're going to do as a business partner to help sell their services to the clients as well through the simplicity of the things like what Jeremy's doing on just breaking down, right? Is it going to be financed? Is it, I believe, you know, Jeremy used the word eight, or the percent, 80%. I believe that 80%, if I talk to my, you know, a couple of my top realtors who are literally the top 50 realtors in the country, they would say, and their thought is it's going to be business as usual a lot of the time, because a good listing agent is also going to help communicate to a seller that it's in their best interest to offer buyer compensation. So, but it doesn't change the fact that you still have to have an answer regardless of what the percentages are going to in fact be after August. So
Yeah, no, I'm hearing a lot of loan officers are doing this options TCA, and I think you forwarded this to me from someone in your office, Maura, where
Yep.
she's showing, you know, seller paid, buyer paid, you know, professional fee, you know, with no MI, you know, but tailored options based off of customers' concerns, I think it is. What are your thoughts on doing something like this and the value it would have to an agent?
Well, I'm going to. I haven't done it yet. I will. I'll mark it down as a homework assignment, Dave. I'll copy you in when I send it out. She did an amazing video on it, and just the simplicity. By the way, I think like the best term that I heard is not commission, not professional fee that she has. I'll tell her to probably change that. It's just compensation, right? Like I think it's such a great term to just say compensation is. I mean, our words with her. Just as a little side note. I think it's a good thing not to talk about commission, not create some BS thing. It's just compensation for your services. But I will be doing that as a baseline to send out to all of my business partners.
Yeah, and I would push everyone in the community here, and I think Denise had her version of what options she's showing to realtors during these Nar settlement presentations. But make sure that your loan officers are providing options and make sure that they're providing transparency. You know, I think transparency equals value. That's another thing that when you give a presentation like a mortgage coach report, you're showing transparency beyond the common experience. That has value. And right now, realtors need value. When you show a consumer how their net worth is going to evolve, hopefully increase by the real estate transaction they're getting into. If it's going from renting to owning, it's pretty obvious the net worth increase. But hey, if they're moving up, there's a net worth increase because they're buying a more expensive house. And so I do think there's going to be a lot of pressure and a lot of opportunity for loan officers to show that net worth option more often. Any thoughts on that, Hunter?
Well, no, I mean, my thought is for all of us as loan officers, we have to, like, it's come up just a couple of times where a new lead opportunity is asking me about compensation for the agent, right? And that will continue. And I think one of the things we have to do is we have to know how we are going to propose different options for our buyers. But I also think it's just a simple homework assignment. Every single one of your business partners, as far as like everyone's looking for reasons to call and what to say and what to do, one of the things we all should be doing and need to be doing is talking to our business partners ahead of our client. Like if I'm talking to Dana's client, I mean, Dana and I are good pals now, but like I know what Dana's points are that she wants me to reference in helping sell her services compared to Alex's, compared to Renee's, whatever. I think we also have to go back to all of our agents to say, hey, this is coming up now, one-on-one, right? And we all act like, another thing that Denise brought up, the average is like 12 loans a year per loan officer. I think we all act like we're too busy. We have plenty of time to make one-to-one phone calls to talk to or meet with our business partners just to understand where are they right now, right? I mean, so it's like, Dave, if you're the realtor, it's like, Dave, I'm going to be talking to opportunities that you give me. They are starting to ask more about your compensation. How are you addressing it first? So I at least understand what your selling points are. And then I can go back and talk about what our different I can lay out the options here and make sure we're on the same page. But let's just make sure that one-to-one, as you being one of my favorite and all-time great business partners, let's make sure that we're on the same page with what you're saying and what I'm saying back.
By the way, guys, pause this right now and ask yourself, are you doing that? Are you having that conversation with all your best agents? You know, I want to make sure I know what you're saying so that I am saying something that is, you know, helping you get commitment from these clients. And I want to make sure you know what I'm going to say. I mean, there's just never been a better time to get aligned, to create a unique advantage. And let's face it, most loan officers aren't going to do this. This will not be
going to do it.
commonplace in the market. And so, what do you think? Do you think it's a great time to recruit realtors in the marketplace right now?
Oh, absolutely. I mean,
The best time? Has there ever been a better time?
No, I mean, Dave, I'm blown away by like the amount of people that I don't want to like, I've got some really good competitors out there that I like, but it's like, you know, we just took over a deal for a client and I asked them flat out, by the way, I always ask, I mean, I think it's good for all of us to ask, like whether or not you're winning or losing, it's good to ask why you're getting either one. And they said, you know, we really want to switch over. And I said, I'm like, well, I know this person. You're fine. Don't worry. Like you're in good hands. I wouldn't like, you don't need to move over per se. You're in contract. And they said, like, I looked at this person's numbers, very minimal. I mean, minimal business, right? Said every time we reach out to this person, it takes them 6-7 hours to respond. It's like, and this is someone that's got a good reputation. So I'm blown away by honestly how poorly our industry is acting right now. Just, I mean, speed to lead, communication, clarity, picking up the phone, stopping the emails back and forth on problems. I mean, it's amazing to me. So yes, I think it's a massive opportunity to recruit.
All right. So let's change tunes here. And by the way, anyone watch this in Zoom, if you have questions, put them in chat. I'd love to know, you know, your perspective, knowing that you have a leadership role of, you know, let's just say a couple hundred loan officers, that one, you know what their problems are. What are, you know, at aggregate, some of the biggest problems average loan officers are having in the market right now from your perspective?
Mental or I mean, I think
answer it however you want.
Yeah, I think people have their head in the sand. I feel like people have given up. I feel like, I mean, I'm not saying all of our LOs per se, but like, you know, you and I've talked about this. I've talked about it in Sunday Thoughts before, and I'm going to like, we're doing business planning on Thursday. I've got my buddy JJ Mazzo joining me, but I think people fall into one of 4 quadrants right now, right? There is positive and producing. There is negative and producing. There is positive and not producing. And then there's negative and not producing. And if you think about it, like everybody, including, by the way, operations people too, I think everybody falls into one of, it might not be positive and producing, but it's like, I don't know, positive and effective, right? I mean, something for an operations person, negative and effective, right? The growly, mean underwriter that wants to kill you, but they still get their job done, blah, blah, blah. Everybody fits into one of those 4 quadrants. And I think identifying both as an individual, like I would ask, and I want to continue to ask the people that were like on the business planning side, it's like, Dave, what bucket do you find yourself in? What bucket do you think you're in? And I'll tell you from a leadership or management perspective, what bucket I think you're in, right? And to me, to be able to break down, because there's only so much time to allocate to so many people, right? So to be able to, like, we need to spend the most time with the positive and producing people, right? Those are the people that deserve the time and energy. The negative and producing people, we need to find out, like, what is it that is it a company? Is it the company? Is it the industry? Is it a personal thing? Is it a branch? Whatever it is, how do we fix what is creating negativity because you're already producing? So how can we change that? The positive and not producing people, literally, again, you're going through a checklist to say, what are you, like, I'm glad that you're happy to be here, but you're also not producing. What are the things that we need to get you to start doing? What is your value? What is your unique value proposition? What are you doing on a daily basis to get out of this not producing environment? And then the negative in not producing, honestly, it's like, why are you here? Right. So to that, by the way, is just like for everybody, like what quadrant do you find yourself in? Because I find most people I think there's a lot of positive and the really good positive and producing people, if you ask them, would say they're positive and not producing, right? Because their volume's down 50%, but they're still above what most people are doing. To me, it's getting, people need to change their mindset. People need to get off of their heels and onto their toes. People need to take the time to go through the exercise of what is their unique value proposition, right? And then you have to go out and you have to communicate that to business partners. And I think, my goal for this whole planning session that I'm doing is helping people identify what is their unique value proposition, because it is different for all of us.
Yeah. Well, if you totally agree, and highly recommend, whether you've read this book or not, go out and reread the Gap in the Gain. It's just an incredible mindset book. Have you ever read The Gap in the Gain, Hunter?
Yes. Yeah. Per you told me to, and I did it.
Oh, did you? Do you agree it's one of the best mindset books? Yeah. So go. It's almost halftime. We're days away from halftime in the year. We're 2 minutes from halftime in this call. Before I ask the next question, Patrick put a question in chat. Are you guys going to do lender paid buyers agents compensation? Is that in play under Nar Settlement? What's your answer to that?
I don't know.
Okay. Yeah. Then Hunter doesn't know. Patrick, sorry about that, bro. So let's
Do you know?
I'm not sure. Like, I'm not sure how he worded the question. So reword the question. And
well, I think he's asking if we can, it's like, can a lender throw in the compensation? But I mean, like, I don't know if it means like above the LTV, like.
Yeah, I'm not a loan officer, so I'm not close enough to those things. So we need someone. Text Erica, see if she knows the answer to that question.
Exactly.
All right. So
I can honestly say I don't think Erica would know the answer to that question.
All right. If anybody else knows the answer to that question, we got over 100 people on chat right now in Zoom. So answer that question for Patrick, someone, please. So it's halftime. I'm a big fan of your Sunday thoughts. Anyone watching this, if you go to sundaythoughts.com, Hunter has been doing a newsletter almost every Sunday, and it's incredible leadership, guys. I mean, it's truly one of my favorite reads. I've referred countless people to this, and they all thank me. I got a text or an email a couple of weeks ago from a leader in the industry saying, "Wow, Dave, thank you so much for turning me on to Hunter's Sunday Thoughts." So go to sundaythoughts.com, check it out. But why don't you do the audio version? Why don't you turn it into a little audio book real quick and tell everybody what you're doing with your internal team around halftime?
Well, I mean, the first thing is, I mean, I do think, of course, I don't have my Sunday thoughts open. So hang on one second here. Let me.
Here, I can share it on the screen real quick. And I will go ahead and start kicking it off unless you're close to getting.
I think, for all of us, Dave, I'm not looking at him. I remember him now, but we have to understand what our numbers are, right? I mean, so what I'm doing is, I mean, we as a division, we've got every single loan officer, the 195 loan officers, whether or not they've closed one loan or 100 loans, they have their numbers in front of them now. So they know. I don't think people look at their numbers enough, right? So it's like, how many closed loans? What has your commission been? How many credit pulls? How many pre-approvals? How many just every single number that they need to identify to determine, what their business has been. Denise referenced it. Most people are disappointed with their numbers. So what does the next 6 months need to look like? I just think for me, one of the things I talked about, this was kind of an eye opener for me, is you have to have some kind of a theme, right? And for me, my theme is I just want to help. I want to help our loan officers. I want to help our business partners, and I want to help our clients. And I think if you come to everything that you're seeking a solution to with, and people feel free to steal it. You know, one of my favorite quotes was Peter Drucker talking to who is it? I'm blanking, but the advice he gave him was stop worrying about being important and start worrying about being useful. Right. And if you have the mindset of being useful, like, it makes so much sense. And so I could use useful. I just swapped out helpful. I also love looking up the definitions to words, and I put on like the definition of help. And you think about this, like, put this back into you talk, like you're about to jump on a phone call to talk to a buyer, right? You're about to meet with a potential realtor, right? You're about to talk to a loan officer. And the definition of help: to give or provide what is necessary to accomplish a task or satisfy a need, contribute strength or means to, render assistance to, cooperate effectively with, aid and assist. So if you did if that was your mindset honestly, Dave, I get on this call with you, that's my mindset, right? I want to be helpful, and I want to be useful to people. So for me, for the next 6 months, as I go through the details of what I'm going to do for my individual production, right? I mean, JJ and I are talking about like literally just like three habits we need to break, 3 habits we need to create, and then talking about helping people identify like how you would go about identifying what your unique value proposition is, in addition to what your goals, your numeric goals are, and what do you want your theme to be. If you do those things, you have a better chance of getting done with 2024, having hit numbers that you're happier with than where you are right now at halftime. So that's what we're doing.
Yeah. And I want to push everybody to halftime. Like, my homework assignment for everyone is you should know how many credit reports you ran. And if you don't, get the answer to it. You should know how many loans you funded. And I would really go back and just scan it. Like, what were the referral sources? Make sure that you really are recognizing the most valuable referral partners, and you know where your business is coming from. The number one metric is, what's your conversion? Credit report to close loans. And how does that compare to your peers? And how does that compare to the top 20%, the top 10%? Like, where are you from a conversion rate standpoint? Like I would want to know that at halftime. And then I would literally, audit your conversion process. We've got lots of resources in this community. I actually wrote a conversion playbook, which like has 12 strategies of conversion, the keys to conversion success. I'll put a link to that down below. And sometimes it's just, you're getting sloppy with how you're being referred. How you get referred matters. Sometimes you get sloppy with that discovery process. But go through your conversion, know how you rate. By the way, if you're in the top 10% or the top 20%, now you are a leader. Like, give back. Make sure that you are willing to do masterminds. And I want to speak directly to all the producing managers on this. You guys need to lead by example by getting your conversion numbers. And then you need to push your team to know their conversion. And then literally, if you just spent the next, 2 weeks to a month doing conversion training and upgrading folks, like, guys, that will improve confidence. That will improve effectiveness. That will improve skills. So I would just push everybody at halftime, know your conversion, do a conversion workshop. And then here, let's play this forward. Who else cares about conversion right now? Realtors care about conversion. So be a conversion partner, maybe even include realtors in on this. And hey, how many leads did you get? Whether you're a listing agent, how many comparative market analysis did you do versus how many listings? How many buyer leads did you get versus buyer sold? But if we literally came out of halftime with an obsession on conversion, I think I think we'd have a better second half of the year.
What I
Any
love,
thoughts on that?
yeah, it's just literally like first of all, what you said too, and this isn't a brag. It's just like one of my favorite business partners. Her number one buyer agent was out sick for a couple of years. She's back now, which is amazing. She's got a new buyer. She's got a new buyer agent who had a lender relationship. Blah blah blah. I jumped in to say to the head partner, like, hey, we're not doing much anymore. So all of a sudden, the new person started sending emails, and it just said to the client, I'm introducing you to Hunter Marckwardt. He's our preferred lender. He will get you pre-approved. That was it. I'm like, great. That sucks, right? So then I'm talking to my business partner, and she's like, Hunter, what are we like? We're just talking about everything. I said, hey, going back to your point, Dave, everybody, you have to be using the words conversion ratios every single day with your business partners. Like, get that ingrained in their head on what is the conversion ratio? How do we convert more? How do we convert more? Because it opens it up for conversations around language, right? So I had just gotten another email, and it said from an introduction from another realtor client, and it said, I'd like to introduce you to the best lending team in the business. Hunter Marckwardt and Eric Quist started Cross Country Mortgage. Having a trusted relationship with them for the last 10 years, we refer our VIP clients to them at any opportunity. You will quickly learn why they are trusted advisors and tremendous advocates throughout the home buying process and beyond. They are also very well connected in our local market, and together, our relationship has given us a chance to win time and time again. So I cut and paste that and send it to my business partner and said, this is how other people refer us. And I think it has an impact on our clients working with us, because she's already convinced that when her clients are working with us, that she's got a better chance of closing. Well, what do you think she's doing now, Dave? Every single introduction we get was now she took out the I'm getting pre-approved, like, here's the guy to get pre-approved, to this one. And it changes the mindset for the people that you're working with. So yes, every single person on this call should be talking about with their business partners, talk about how they're going to handle NAR, like to make sure that everyone's on the same page, and talk about how we're referring each other, right? Because it does matter. It helps with the conversion.
Yeah, no doubt. And I just saw a question from Luke. I'll push some type of a poll in our Facebook group later today that what is your conversion, and I'll get some different percentages. If anyone is watching the call right now and you know what your conversion is, credit report, closed loan, please put that down below. Hunter, by any chance, do you know your conversion or are willing to share it?
Yeah, it's the only thing I looked at was year to date. So this is going to sound terrible, but I'm going to give you the real number, because we still have a bunch of people that are, but the actual conversion ratio from credit pull starting January 1 to right now is 16%. Okay.
Yeah, 16.
But it makes sense in the sense that you've got a bunch of people that are pre-approved.
Yeah, you still have, right? Yeah, but it's still, I think, I've done this analysis so many times, and anything over 20 is great. The closer to 26, 30 is incredible. Anything over that, I question, is it real? Yeah. And there's some unique factors, but 20% is a good, profitable number to be aspiring to.
We're normally at 23%. These just happen to be the numbers that I pulled for everybody else in our division for this exercise that we're going through. It was starting January 1, so they could see it. But 56% lead to credit. And you and I talked about that. I think, I personally think people are too proud to say that their lead to credit is 85%, whatever. Part of me having that initial consult with people is determining whether or not I want to go through the process of getting them pre-approved at all, right? Like, if it's not the right fit, we are more selective instead of let's just jump into a loan application. We're having the conversation, right? If someone's talking to 3 other lenders and they said, I'm looking for a rate quote, I just say, like, I'm not your guy. right? I mean, I'm
Right,
more than happy to
right.
talk to you about other details, but if you just want me to look at different quotes to support my business partner, I'm happy to do that too. That usually actually triggers them to be more interested in us. But the bottom line is I'm not trying to get a loan app for every single client. And then 72% right now pre-approval to close. So
Got it. Got it. And then also remember, folks, you could run, instead of, like, if you look at, you could pull all your credit reports for up to now, and then have a 30-day lag on, assuming you got a 30 or 45 or even a 60-day, look at your closed loans within that period so that you have a more accurate conversion. But first of all, thank you for sharing that. Anybody else that wants to share it, put it in chat. So we're in the fourth quarter. I'm going to make sure you get to your next meeting on time. But anything you want to make sure that the audience hears today, whether it's something that you and your team are doing that you think is important to share, or something that you're doing as a leader, as a producing leader.
I mean, everyone's talking about, like, for me, Dave, it's going back and making sure that whatever your playbook is, I think we all have to go back to the basics of, part of me says what got you like what made you all this income in 20 and 21 isn't what's going to get you income in 24 and 25. And at the same time, every single thing that's made you sick, like, we have to take note of what has made us successful and what we've stopped doing. And I think that is getting back to, I mean, I hate the saying of getting back to the basics, but that is what it is, right? I mean, it literally is the speed to the lead. It is the initial consult.
Whoa. Time out. I want everyone to upgrade speed to lead to speed to need. Like, and to get to speed to need, you had to be the first one there. Yeah. And you had to really ask great questions to get to the need of the consumer. Speed to need is the new speed to lead, in my opinion.
I like that. I wrote that down.
Well, it puts a, I think we get, like, in a hurry to get on the phone with someone. By the way, most people don't. Most people are not great at speed to lead, but then we are in a hurry to just get an application. And really what we do is get a hold of the person, get to that need, write down that need, blow up that need, start getting in the business of creating wealth stories. One of my favorite takeaways from the Denise Donahue interview was, her whole talk around weekly wealth stories. Puts a real focus on a bigger value prop than just the mortgage business. And it also puts a bigger value prop on something that will make you more attractive to realtors. Mm-hmm. Like, hey, I don't just get to the lead, I get to the need, and I don't just close a loan. I create wealth stories for families. Like, mm-hmm. Everyone that you refer to me is going to, build wealth with real estate faster and more efficiently, because I've got a whole different experience. I'm playing a whole different game than these loan officers. And guys, I think that will be attractive to realtors in this marketplace.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think, well, going back to just like the basics, I mean, if you think about what the purpose is, right? You and I've talked so many times about, like, and I've wrote about in the Sunday Thoughts, it's like, what is the purpose of every conversation you're having, right? Like, to me, that's what I take from speed to, like, instead of speed to the lead, it's speed to the need. It's like having that is the purpose of what you're, like, the process is calling it back as quickly as you can. The purpose is, for me, my purpose is I need to help them. To help them, I need to understand what their needs are. To understand what their needs are, I need to ask them enough questions to identify that. But I would, like, I think for everybody, they just have to do a gut check on, are they still doing the things that made them successful in the first place? And I also think we have to be real with ourselves, going back to if you're closing 12, like this person that took forever, 7-8 hours to call this client back that wanted me to take over the deal. I'm like, the amount of hours that you have in a day to close, you have 160 hours in a month to close one loan. Like, that's insane, right? So people, I think it actually helps to put the perspective around what you are actually doing in a day. I heard, one of the times, like, I wanted to shorten my team meetings, right? My team's the most important thing on the planet. If I shorten my team meetings are 1% of my work week. 1% of my work week. Does my team deserve 1% of my work week for me to engage with them on a team meeting? They do. So I think everybody, you know, people are confused, whatever, like you have to take the time, literally just listening to Jeremy and Denise yesterday and today, and thinking of like, we have to be becoming more professional. We have to be better at our jobs than we've ever been, or we won't survive. And I think just listening to top producers like on this community, it freaking matters. That's what people need to be doing. They need to be surrounding themselves with people that are succeeding. They need to be hearing what winning strategies are, and then doing something with it. It's not complicated.
Yeah, no doubt. So that's another push for everyone tuning in. Watch just 1 hour a day. Excuse me, not 1 hour a day, 1 hour a week, or one video a week for the Mortgage Coach YouTube channel and for all the producing managers.
Just drive around with it. I went to pick up my wife yesterday. I listened to it. I picked her up at the airport. Like I listened to Denise on the way down, right? Actually, no. Yeah. No, I listened to Jeremy on the way down. This morning, I went for a long run and I listened to Denise, right? Just because of this. And I felt like an idiot. I didn't want to come unprepared for this with you. But what helped me is going, why am I not freaking doing this more often, right? I mean, it's like, it's just dumb to not be listening to, you're sitting around the water cooler listening to a bunch of people bitch and moan about how there's no production. There is production. There are people that are doing production right now, and they're usually people that are, they're in that positive and productive quadrant, and you're sitting there hanging around with, negative non-producers. It's like, this is way too big picture, Dave, but you and I have talked about it. Like, we're all going to die. Like, there's no point in being in the box of negative and not producing. Like, there's just no point. Like, get out of those boxes and get into a box of positive and producing.
All right. I want to close it out with just 3-ish minutes on, the meetings that you're having with realtors. And this may seem really basic to you, but trust me, I think there's real value in just hearing, one, how you prepare for a meeting. And if it's like, hey, I'm meeting with all my best realtors, there's not a lot of prep, that's fine. But just try to give us a 3-minute playbook with the meetings over the next 30 days that you're going to have with realtors. What are some of the questions you're going to ask, the sequence, and any preparation you're doing before your realtor meetings? Just give us a little checklist on that.
I would say they are predominantly, I'm not going out prospecting right now although with that being said, I will today if you saw my calendar today, it is absolutely in there. I'm going to be on broker's tour with one of my top producers from 12 to 1. I got to do my Tuesday updates from 2 to 3. Yesterday, I got a referral from a listing agent that was on I was on the buy side, obviously, of a transaction literally 2 weeks ago. And because of the way we execute on calls, she sent us a lead yesterday. So stuff like that stuff actually does happen. Dave, my conversation is going to be based on what you and all I'm going to be doing for the next 30 days with my business partners is talking about how they are what is their communication going to be with NAR, and understand based on that communication what I can present to them to help them with their buyers. That's what my communication is going to be. So it's literally just scheduling either phone calls or meetings. I prefer to meet in person and sit down with all of them to talk to them about it. It's that simple. I think, by the way, that's another thing. You just have to have one. I think we all try to accomplish too many things. If you're making phone calls, make them on one topic. If you've got one product, as much as I'm not a big product guy, call everybody based on that one product for that day. Every single person right now needs to have a strategy or an understanding of how their business partners are going to deal with NAR. It's that simple.
Cool. Well, brother, I am super grateful for you taking time to prepare for this call, to bring the Hunter Marckwardt value. Just a reminder to everybody, if you haven't already, subscribe to Sunday Thoughts, check it out. Every Sunday, just Hunter, going by his heart, sharing, things that he thinks would be valuable. And trust me, it is valuable. It's inspirational. Any last things you want to say before we wrap it, brother?
I don't think so, man. I'm honored that you really do put on a group what you've created, the fact that the amount of people that need to be listening to this, including me, and as most importantly, me, to gain constant insights as to what others are doing to be successful, and to just giving yourself, like, we need a personalized pep talk on a daily basis in this business right now. You just do, right? So you providing that to so many people, and the fact that I just know firsthand, like, I just always laugh because it took me so long to get going on Mortgage Coach, not just as a tool, but as a strategy. And, you know, I mean, I heard someone the other day just say, yeah, it's too complicated for me. And I'm like, you freaking idiot. It's like, if you only knew how, like, it's so good, you know? So I would just say, thank you, Dave, and please continue to do what you're doing. And thanks for having me.
Hey, I love mortgage professionals. I love this industry. When you really think about it, like, we get to play a really big part of creating wealth for the customers we serve. And if we do it right and we do it well, we get to create wealth stories for ourselves. I mean, what other business can you make the kind of money by helping people achieve the American dream? So, guys, we're in a great business, and there will be the haves and the have-nots on the other side of this. I mean, I really do believe there'll be a tremendous amount of realtors that either, you know, exit or become so part-time they're irrelevant. You know, there will be. I mean, it's going to professionalize the real estate space. That is one last reminder to folks to really think about who you're serving as a real estate professional. Is it someone that's got what it takes to get into the new market? I mean, for as hard as you have to work to get their attention, to win their respect, to earn their referrals, you know, make sure that you're going after people that are going to win.
Dave, those realtors should be in the same quadrant that we're talking about, right? I mean, every single person fits in that quadrant of, I mean, if you've got a negative non-producing realtor, probably not the person you want to be spending a whole lot of time with.
Yeah, no doubt.
You know?
All right, brother. Well, thank you very much, everyone. Hopefully you got value from this. Give it a like in our YouTube channel. If you are not following our YouTube channel, make sure you subscribe today so you get updates as videos are released. Also, if you are not already part of the Savage Insights Mobile Club, go to savageinsights.com. I'm always posting the top video to watch. So if you want to know what I think is the #1 video to watch this week, it's one of the first 2 links in savageinsights.com. And if you want to sign up for the next one, go to savageinsights.com. Thank you, Hunter. Have a good one,
Thanks,
brother.
brother. Talk to you there.